Tom here from Lawrence Systems, and I'm starting a new series on Proxmox, and we're kicking it off with something that matters a lot, and that's backups. Proxmox Backup Server is an excellent tool for backing up your VMs and containers inside Proxmox virtual environment. But there is a catch. While Proxmox Backup Server is easy to install, you're responsible for the storage design. And that's where TrueNAS comes in. TrueNAS gives us proper ZFS storage management and offers containers that are high performance with low overhead. The perfect place to run the Proxmox Backup Server. In this video, I'll show you how to create the proper dataset in TrueNAS and get those permissions right, deploy the Proxmox Backup Server as a system container, and then connect it to your Proxmox environment. Before we get to that, let's hear a word from our sponsor today, Meter. This video is sponsored by Meter, the company building full-stack networks from the ground up. Meter delivers a complete networking stack, wired, wireless, and cellular, all as one integrated solution. They design the hardware, write the firmware, build the software, handle deployment, and run support. For network engineers, that means deep control, real visibility, and fewer fragmented tools without juggling multiple vendors or inflexible legacy providers. Whether it's a branch office, warehouse, campus, or data center, Meter is built to scale and built for uptime. Thanks to Meter for sponsoring this video. Go to meter.com/Lawrence Systems to book a demo now. That's meter.com/Lawrence Systems to book your demo. Now everything is time indexed down below, so you can skip around to the parts you like. Also, I have this linked in my forums with a write-up that's pretty detailed because you'll want to follow along with some of these steps because, well, we have some very specific commands, especially around setting permissions, and getting those right is the difference between this working and not working. But let's talk about why a container on TrueNAS versus why not run it in a virtual machine on TrueNAS or why not run it in a container on Proxmox. Well, running your backup server on your Proxmox, even if you were to map the data via something like NFS back over to the TrueNAS, creates a couple issues. First, if your Proxmox server has a catastrophic failure, you have to first set up your Proxmox server, then set up your backup server, then map it back to your TrueNAS, and then start restoring VMs. In the instance of moving the Proxmox backup server to TrueNAS, you just have to reload Proxmox, reconnect it to the backup server, start pulling in your VMs. So generally speaking, it's going to give you a much faster restore time with a little bit less effort, but both ways are valid. But let's get down to the container versus virtual machine. Obviously, you can run this in a virtual machine on TrueNAS, but that comes with all the overhead of running a virtual machine. Plus, you'll have to map in the storage, and that's also going to have some other overhead. When you run a container, containers have near instant access to the underlying data because of the way we map the data set into the container. That being said, it lets high intensity IO operations, such as the ones done by Proxmox Backup Server when it runs deduplication or you're sending numerous things to it, it allows them to run really fast, directly accessing the data set that we've mapped into it. Now, by mapping a data set into it, we've restricted its permissions quite a bit. That's why the permissions for the users is so important when you're setting this up. So this is a great place to run this. But for those of you that have been following the development of TrueNAS 25 and then TrueNAS 26, you'll know that TrueNAS 25 is running Incus right now, which I'll be using, and it's going to transfer over to libvirt LXC in 26, because that's what's on the roadmap. I have played with the nightlies here in February of 2026 for the LXC container style. It works the same. It's not really that much different. The interface is the same. The permissions are the same, which is obviously really important. I haven't had any problems. I was going to do this in 26, but I figured it might be a little bit too early. And a lot of people run the previous version for a while, so I'll stick with this in 25. Also of note, because you're separating application and data, and that means all the data lives in a data set outside of the container. If the container were ever to break in a transition, you could always reload it and reattach it to that same data set, and all of your backups will be there. But my understanding, outside of any pass-through devices that are special, such as mapping in USB or other devices, the container should upgrade fine from 25 to 26. Obviously, 26 is not out yet, so I can't really test that, but I do want to put this note here at the beginning of the video for those of you wondering. A few more notes before we get to the tutorial. For those wondering how I came up with these numbers, where it says CHOWN 214700035 and then the Datastore, I put a little bit of an explainer here to get you an idea of how permission mapping works from inside of a container and outside the container inside the TrueNAS host. So I've got this as a write-up in there. If there's a lot of questions on it, feel free to reply on this forum, and I'm more than happy to answer them, but this should get you an idea of how some of the numbering works. This is the confusing part for a lot of people, is understanding that there's different users inside of a container versus outside the container, which is what requires some of these special permissions. But these are all set up to easy copy paste. They're the same, as I said, said in 25 and 26. Also, going down here, I only am pulling in the PBS No subscriptions when I set up the repository. If you are going to be using this in a production environment and you have a license for Proxmox Backup Server, do get their enterprise license and do get their enterprise repositories added if you need to. This can be done here. It can also be done outside of here right through the web UI. Just something I wanted to note, that because I'm assuming a lot of you are testing this in lab or maybe don't have a license, I only included this one, but it's arbitrary to add the enterprise repository as well. Now the TrueNAS version we're using is 25.10.1, and we're going to go over here to datasets, and we want to make a new dataset. We'll give the dataset a name, PBS storage, leave everything else at default, leave this at generic, hit save. And I will note on the permissions, we're not going to change them here, but if you were looking for a shortcut not to have to do a lot of permission settings, you can set this to wide open, apply all the permissions, and then it will work as well. So it will work if you do that, but I'm going to get specific of what permissions are actually needed. But this is kind of a shortcut for skipping the permissions part and just allowing all. Now let's go over to containers. And we want to create a new container. We'll give the container a name of YouTube PBS, hit browse catalog. I'm going to choose Debian, and we're going to choose Trixie. We'll leave this all at default until we get down to storage. We click add. If for some reason you do not see the new data set you created, simply reload the TrueNAS page or log in and out, and it'll show up. I have run into that bug a couple times where they're not showing up after you create them when you go to map them into the storage here. Now the top line here is mounting the data set. The bottom line here is the destination inside the container. So when we're inside the container, this will be where that's located. We'll scroll down here. We will uncheck the use network interfaces. I have another video about creating bridges if you're not familiar, but we want to check the bridge boxes. We want a bridge adapter for this container. Then we'll go down to the bottom and we're going to go ahead and hit create. Now the container is created, but before we go into the container, let's go to the system and we're going to go to the shell. Now that we're in the shell, let's go to cd/mount and get into our PBS storage dataset. Now we're going to make a directory called Datastore. If you plan to make many of them, maybe you want to call it Datastore 1, Datastore 2. That way each Datastore you set up in Proxmox Backup Server, maybe you want to apply different parameters. We're only going to create one, but you can repeat this and create many if you'd like to, or have a special need for that. Make sure to put sudo in front of this or you'll get an error. So sudo make datastore 1. Now we want to change the owner to the user backup inside of the container, which is this user ID here. I forgot to hit sudo. Next, we want to run this to make sure the ACL inheritance permissions are set correctly. And if you want to check the permissions, you can run git facl datastore 1, and it will give you this output to let you know what all the permissions are set to for that particular data store. Now let's go over to our container, and we want to install Proxmox Backup Server in a container, so we're going to go to the shell. I noted it as optional, but I do want to paste in the bash completion. I like it because it's easier when you're apt-get installing things. So this is right from my forum post. I just pasted this in. Then we put in source.bashrc. This reloads the bashrc to get the completion working properly. Next, we want to set a password for root. Now we want to install a few utilities, such as wget curl and the CA certificates. This gets the key for signing the Proxmox repositories. And this command will put in the repositories into the app sources list. Anytime you update the repository list, you want to do an update and upgrade. Then we can install the Proxmox Backup Server itself. Press OK. This is where if you have a mail server configuration, you would put it in here. I do not have one, so I'm going to choose no configuration, but use the settings that work for you. Now that it's all, we want to show the IP address of the system so we can log into the Proxmox Backup Server web interface. And we see here it's 172.16.16.16. I didn't plan that. That's just funny. Now, before we go over there, I want to point out, if we go to cd/mount/PBS storage, you can see our Datastore 1. So we'll go into there. And this will be the directory we want all the data to be in when we're inside a Proxmox backup server and setting up the storage. So this is the amount inside versus the amount outside that I was talking about when we did the container setup. To get to the Proxmox backup server web interface, we go to the IP address, :8007. The username is going to be root, and the password is whatever you set the root password to when you were setting up the container. Once in, we're going to go ahead and add a data store. We'll give it a name, and then the path will be that path I showed in the container, /mount /PBS storage /datastore1, and we click add. And now the data store is set up. To add this Proxmox backup server to your PBE environment, we're going to hit show connection information, and it gives you spots to copy and then paste into your PBE. So let's go ahead and walk through that. We go to data center, storage, add, and we want to add a Proxmox backup server. We'll give it a name, put in the IP address, the user's root, but we're going to put @PAM, and then it's the password we set when we set up the container. Paste in the data store, paste in the fingerprint, click add, and now we have a Proxmox backup server. Then we can go here to any one of our containers or VMs, click on one, choose backup. I have more than one backup server. I've got this demo and I've got local, so let's choose the demo one we just set up, make sure it works. Click backup now and hit backup. And we can see our backup job finished successfully. Coming back over to Proxmox backup server, we can see the backup data is here. Now, some of you may be wondering, what about offsite backups? With all this being local, what if there's a catastrophe that downed everything? We've lost the TrueNAS, we've lost the Proxmox, it's all gone. How do we restore from backups? Well, I would really recommend a second offsite TrueNAS and ZFS replication. ZFS replication works really well. I've covered it down below in several different videos that you'll find in the playlist. But what this does is allow you to not just send the data, but it will also send all the metadata and all those permissions we set exactly as they were. And because this is a standard way TrueNAS treats the permissions, if you took that secondary offsite TrueNAS and loaded up Proxmox backup server and pointed it at that same data store, it will just work and it'll be exactly from the last time the replication job ran to get the data off site. ZFS replication is very efficient because not only is it sending all the metadata, it's only sending the incremental changes after the initial seed. So it's looking at block level changes. So no matter what changes inside the Proxmox backup server, it'll only look at those incremental changes that are often quite small from different VMs backing up, depending on, of course, how much data you have on there and how much the data change rate is. But by doing that, it'll efficiently send it over to another TrueNAS. Now, another alternative method that I'll cover in the future is Proxmox backup server itself has the ability to replicate to another Proxmox backup server. You can even do push or pull. So for security reasons, you may not want one Proxmox backup server logging into another, but instead you want one to pull because you have it in a secure environment and it will pull your current backups over to itself. There's some security implications to think about this. I've also covered this with ZFS replication, push versus pull, but there's a lot of options around there. So it's not that you're really stuck with this locally. There's ways to get this data off site, either via the Proxmox backup server itself or with ZFS replication and TrueNAS. Now, I'm not sure which one works for you, but let me know in the comments down below. Also, join my forums where you find that write-up. I will also try to keep this write-up up to date when TrueNAS 26 comes out. I'll make any modifications if needed. The video hopefully won't have to be redone, but this is something I'm using. So when TrueNAS 26 comes out, if for some reason there's a big change that would require this video redone, well, I'll be redoing this video. In the meantime, join my forums. Look through that forum post. I've got a lot of details in there. I was copying, pasting things and making sure they all work. So if you have any problems, the forums is the best place to engage and let me know what problems or challenges you had with it, and so I can get them fixed or adjusted. I can't do that in the video. I can't do that in post. Once the video is published, I have to republish a new video in order to fix it. So that's why so much of this is written up in the forum post. But love hearing from you, love engaging with you all there, and hopefully this works out great for you. All right, and thanks.